You've learned what the adjusting entry means and why it is needed. We know that there are two types of adjusting entries: prepayment and accruals. This lesson will focus on the accrual adjusting entry. Accrual is an accounting term for the payment of goods or services after goods have been delivered or service rendered. How do you feel when you're owed money? Awful, right? Think of accrual as to owe money or to be owed money. Let us see how Mr. Kari maintains his account when he owes money to his suppliers and when he is owed money by his customers. Remember that Mr. Kari buys his plain fabrics from his suppliers and uses them to make quality suits for his customers. On the 1st of February this year, he went to buy plain fabrics from a supplier for 40,000 naira. Mr. Kari had no money at the moment, so he suggested that the fabrics should be delivered to him and he will pay at a future date. This is called accrual. Has Mr. Kari incurred an expense or not? Of course he has, because the goods have been delivered even though cash has not been exchanged. Remember, the accrual concept states that expenses should be recognized when incurred, not when cash is exchanged. Therefore, Mr. Kari will recognize the cost of the fabrics in the purchases account. It's an expense, and so it's a debit balance. So what will be the credit entry for this transaction? I'll tell you. If Mr. Kari paid the 40,000 naira within the year, it means that his cash has been reduced, right? Remember that a cash account is a debit balance, so reduction will lead to a credit entry. But now, Mr. Kari has not paid the money and it's the end of the accounting year. So he's wondering how to account for this so that he would remember to pay the next year. He needs to create an account that will adjust for the expenses already incurred and recorded but not paid. This account is known as the accrued expense account. Accrued expenses, which are also called accrued liabilities, are payments that a company is obligated to pay in the future for which goods and services have already been delivered. This is a liability because the services have been rendered to Mr. Kari, but he has not paid for it. A liability is a credit balance. So Mr. Kari will account for this accrued expense in the accrued expense account. He will go ahead to record the money he has not paid his suppliers on the credit side of the account. So there you go. The debit balance as the total worth of the fabrics and the credit balance is the accrued expenses. Okay, let us see how Mr. Kari deals with another transaction. You see, at the beginning of the year, Bowo came to buy suits worth 100,000 naira on credit. This means that the suit will be delivered to him, but he will pay Mr. Kari at a future date. Should Mr. Kari recognize this as a revenue or not? Of course, he should recognize this as a revenue because Mr. Kari has delivered the suits to his customer. So we can say he has earned his revenue. This revenue is a credit balance, so 100,000 naira will be recorded on the credit side of the revenue account. What then will be the debit balance of this transaction? If Mr. Kari receives the money within the year, it means that his cash has increased, right? Remember that a cash account is a debit balance, so an increase will be a debit entry. But now, Mr. Kari has not received the money from Ugo, and it's the end of the accounting year. He needs to create an account that will adjust for the revenue already earned and recorded but not received. This account is known as the accrued revenue account. Accrued revenue is a revenue that has been earned by providing a good or service but for which no cash has been received. It's an asset because Mr. Cario has rendered a service but has not been paid for it. So Mr. Cario will open the accrued revenue account and record the money he has not received from his customer in the debit side of the account. So there you go. The credit balance is the total value of the suits delivered to Ugo, and the debit balance is the accrued revenue. We've learned accruals and its adjusting entries. We also know how the postings are carried out in the various ledgers. That will be all for this lesson. Bye!